Welcome to the Meditation Realm, Planeswalkers. I'm Caleb, your guide through the Land Eternities, and in today's video, we have one of the Commander decks from March of the Machines. We have the Cavalry Charge. Looking at the new commander here, Commander-Cavalry of Zalfir. He's pretty strong. Eminence is a really powerful mechanic. They haven't done that in many years, since the first and only Commander product they've done it, so it's nice to get that mechanic revisited. Thankfully, they didn't do all of it because, again, Eminence is so powerful to have from your command zone. So we're going to pop this open and take a look at the deck and some of those plane chase cards and see what we get. I don't think... Ooh, this is a nice way for those plane chase cards to come. They get their own little packaging here. I was wondering if we were going to get sleeves, special sleeves for them, but no. But hey, we still get a collector booster sample pack. That's cool. I was hoping we'd still get those. And then it looks like the box has some of the usual stuff that comes on it. It's got some of the little punch-out counters. It's got a little punch-out of the, looks like a token maybe, or Sidar himself. And then we've got the deck box. Its usual paper fold-out. I should say the deck itself, not a deck box. We got the spin wheel life counter that not too many people I know actually use. Here's the deck box that they insert for you. So for those of you who don't have a starting deck box, it does come with one. And then a few more punch-outs on the back. And oh, there it is. Here's the planar die. This in itself is going to be a nice little addition for all the commander decks, because obviously you need this to play and use the planar zone. Plane chase cards. And then, okay. That's it for what's in there. Let's take a look at the plane chase cards. Each of these commander decks are supposed to have 5 new ones and then 5 old ones. So we are getting a lot of new product in this, even if we aren't getting as many straight new cards in the deck itself. So we've got a Mutual Epiphany. This is a phenomenon. These are one of the things that happen between the zones. It's basically like an instant. When you encounter Mutual Epiphany, each player draws 4 cards. Alright, so our first plane that we get to see is on Kamigawa, the Orochi Colony. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may search your library for a basic land card, put that onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. And then it's Chaos, is whenever Chaos ensues, target creature can't be blocked this turn. It's pretty sweet. If you haven't got to play this version of Commander before, playing Plane Chase is a lot of fun. So we have the Plane Ear on a Turi Island. Creature spells cost 2 less to cast, and that's just for everybody. Whenever a Chaos ensues, reveal the top 3 cards of your library, put all creature cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. And then we're back on Kamigawa. When Soken's in, all creatures get +1/+1 and have haste. Very aggressive. Whenever Chaos ensues, untap all creatures that attacked this turn. If it's a main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this turn, followed by an additional main phase. Oof, that's brutal. That can lead to some quick games. We have the Urgamon plane, Truga Jungle. Whenever Chaos ensues, reveals the top 3 cards of your library. Put all land cards revealed this way into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Pretty good for those landfall decks, I'm sure. And then we're on Kaldheim and Littjara. When you planeswalk to Littjara and at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. Whenever Chaos ensues, choose a creature type. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control of that type. Fiora and the city of Paliano. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, if there is no Monarch, you become the Monarch. Monarch's always great in Commander, keeps the attacks going and card advantage. Whenever Chaos ensues, create a 1/1 Black Assassin creature token with Death Touch and Haste. Alright, so we're going to go visit, I guess, Queen Marquesa there. Ooh, this is a plane I haven't heard of before. Creede on Inis Han. When you planeswalk to Inis Han, I don't know how to pronounce that one. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. And at the beginning of your upkeep, mill 3 cards. When you planeswalk away, each player returns all land cards from their graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And when Chaos ensues, return target non-land card from your graveyard to your hand. Nice. That's a pretty strong card. Okay, here's Capenna in the Chaldea. Creature spells you cast from your hand have Blitz 3. And whenever chaos ensues, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Right on. Another aggressive plane. And then we're on Zalfir, Teferi's home plane. At the beginning of your end step, if you planeswalked to Unyaro this turn, untap all creatures. They phase out until the player planeswalks. Whenever chaos ensues, create 2/2/2 white and blue knight creature tokens with vigilance. Right on. So those are all the plane chase cards in this one. Again, there are 5 reprints and 5 new ones in each of these, and we'll take a look at all of them as we open them up. Now we're going to take a look through the actual commander deck. Read over the new cards, kind of see what sweet reprints we got in this. I believe this one is the most valuable of the 5 as far as the reprint value and with new stuff. But to start off, we got Sidar. It's a 4/3 flying first strike for 4, 1 in Esper. He has Eminence. Whenever you attack with 1 or more knights, if Sidar is in your command zone or on the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. And he's a 4/3 flying first strike human knight. Whenever Sidar Jabari deals combat damage to a player, return target knight creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's pretty strong. I mean, he has to be the one to hit to return something, but the fact that he's got first strike means he'll reanimate, the Lord likely, and then be able to buff the rest of the dudes that are attacking. I think that's pretty good. And then we have the other potential face of the deck, Alenda and Azor, and she's a flying ward 2 for 3 in Esper. Whenever it attacks, you may pay X in Esper. If you do, draw X cards. And at the beginning of each end step, you may pay 4 life. If you do, create a number of 1/1 black Vampire Knight creature tokens with lifelink equal to the number of cards you've drawn this turn. So, I guess potentially if you got ways to draw cards on your opponent's end steps, you can start paying life and creating lifelink tokens on your opponent's end steps, but it seems something like more you're going to do on your turn. And Bajuka Bog, always a good reprint. Command Tower, definitely needed. Command Zone seats, or Commander Spheres, you play everywhere. Alright, we're going to kind of go through some of these. Distant Melody, Evolving Wilds. I don't even know why they do Evolving Wilds. Let's see, we got Fractured Power Stone. It's a mana rock, and you can roll the planar die, or tap a dead mana for a 2-drop. Ooh, that's a really good mana rock for these types of decks. If you're playing Plane Chase, this is just perfect. Even if you're not playing Plane Chase and you just throw this into a commander deck, 2-drop mana rocks that can immediately tap for mana are always staples. Like Mind Stone, even though you don't draw a card 90% of the time, it's still just a staple. I like that. Signets are always nice. Path. Read the Bones is an okay draw. There's better drawn. Commander, Sign in Blood, Night's Whispers. I believe this deck has mostly kind of a night theme. Gonna go through the Thriving Lands are they're mana fixers. Arcane Signet has become a staple in these commander decks now. D-Spark is another really strong removal card I recommend for budget decks. Black-white removal is really hard, or not hard to come by, but that's a strong one for 2 mana at uncommon for cheap. Hey, Mind Stone, like I was mentioning, this deck has a lot of 2-drop ramp, which is important. You want to be able to play your commander on turn 3, so playing all the 2-drop ramp you can is very important. Oh, let's see, this guy looks new. Commander-Cavalry, Menace, lifelink for 2 and a black, Vampire Knight. Whenever a knight you control deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on that creature and create a blood token. Okay. There's some good Knight tribal synergy there. And then we have the Ichor Elixir, a 4-drop artifact. If you roll 1 or more planar dice, instead roll that many dice plus 1 and ignore 1. Okay, so it kind of lets you roll, pick and choose. That way you might actually hit something instead of not hitting anything, because on the planar dice of the 2 sides, you have 1 that rolls chaos, 1 that planeswalks you away, and 4 that do nothing. So you have potential to just do nothing when you roll the planar dice and just stay there on the plane for a little bit. We have the Herald of Hoofbeats. It's a human knight for 3 and a blue. It's a 3/3 with horsemanship. Other knights you control have horsemanship, which is basically unblockable. pretty strong, especially when you got a wide board. We have the Loch Twain Lancer. It's a human knight for 4 and a black with menace. It's a 5/5. Whenever a non-token knight you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you draw a card. Oh, that's pretty strong. Your knight's dying, they lose life, you draw instead of you losing life and drawing. It's pretty good. Chivalric Alliance. It's a 2-drop enchantment for 1 and a white. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, draw a card. You can pay 2, discard a card, create a 2/2 white and blue knight creature token with vigilance. It's pretty strong for those white aggressive decks. You have the fact that you can draw off a cheap enchantment, and you can discard late game cards like lands that you don't need to play extra of and just create token value. I like it. Let's see, we have a 5-drop sorcery for 4 and a blue. Target player draws 4 cards, Path of the Enigma. And then Will of the Planeswalkers. Starting with you, each player votes for Planeswalk or Chaos. If Planeswalk gets more vote, Planeswalk. If Chaos gets more votes or the vote is tied, Chaos ensues. Interesting. So specifically for, if you're playing the Plane Chase version, this is one that'll draw you 4 cards for 5 mana, which is, solid value for the amount you're spending. And then you can either choose to plane, your team will vote, or your team, I should say your team, your game players will vote. And whatever the higher vote is, Planeswalk or Chaos away. I think this will be playable if you're playing in a group that's playing this. It's not going to be a staple in regular Commander decks just because not everybody likes to play Plane Chase. We have Voldalian Wave Knight. It's a 3/3 for 2, a white and a blue. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on each other merfolk and or knight you control. Woof! So that's going to be played in both decks, and go, that's strong. Woof. Putting 1/1 counters on each creature you control for when you draw. Ooh, that's going to be so good. Conjurer's Mantle. It's an equipment that we have for 1 and a white. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has vigilance. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card that shares a creature type. You may reveal a card that shares a creature type with that creature from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order, and it only costs 1 to equip. 2 to play, 1 to equip, buffs a creature, gives it vigilance and card advantage. I think this will be a staple for those tribal decks. White tribal decks, really strong. Absolutely. Really good equipment. And this is a reprint here. We have Aethersworn Adjudicator. Decent card, but not as power played as it used to be. Hero of Bladehold. I believe this is one of the most, if not the most expensive reprint in this set. Very strong knight, very powerful effect. Battle Cry is really good, especially when you're making knights that are tapped and attacking and getting buffed. Really powerful card. We have Vana, Butcher of Magan. Acclaimed Contender. Adeline, another really powerful knight card to see reprinted. Ariel, Knight of Windgrace. And then, the lands, Exotic Orchard, I think, is seen reprinted in every Commander deck. The rare lands are getting a lot better. The land bases are definitely stronger. They're not as terrible as they used to be, but still, there's room for improvement. Knight Exemplar, Knight of the White Orchid, always good mana ramp. Knight's Charge. Whenever a knight you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And you can pay 8, sack it, return all knight creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's an okay enchantment. Liliana Standard Bearer. When it enters battlefield, draw X cards, where X is the number of creature cards that died under your control this turn, and it has flash. It's a 3/1 for 3. Okay. It's not terrible. You could draw a lot of cards after a Wrath. Maul the Skyclays is always an okay equipment. Not one of the strongest, but okay. Midnight Reaper, good draw. Murderous Rider. Murderous Rider is actually a decent removal in Commander because of the fact that you remove a creature or Planeswalker and then you play this side, it blocks something, you gains a couple life, and then you put it on back into your library. You shuffle after you search for something and you draw it again later. It's decent. Painful Troops is one of those decent draw cards for 3-color decks. Spend 3 mana of different colors, draw 3 cards for 3. Again, okay. We got some of the rare lands here. Promise of Loyalty. This is actually one of the better Wrath effects in Commander, I feel, because you put a Vow counter on each of those creatures, and they sacrifice everything else, and the things that have Vow counters on it can't attack you. So you get rid of, everything but, they keep their biggest thing, but their three big, the biggest thing that your three opponents have, or however many you have left, can't attack you, so they're just swinging at each other with it. Forces the game. I think it's a really strong card. One of the considerable 5-drop wraths of like 150. Pull from tomorrow. Rare land, Chantel's Arm. We got a few equipments in here. Sealed Sword of Valoron, although I guess has to be expected with a Knight Tribal deck. Silverwing Squadron. Sunken Hollow, Temple of Deceit, Temple of Enlightenment, and Temple of Silence. We are visiting all the temples. Time Wipe. Hey, at least it's got a couple board wipes here. Unbreakable Formation, always good to give your team indestructible. Valiant Knight, Vanquisher's Banner, Worthy Knight, Return to Dust, Soul Ring, Swords to Plowshares, Swords and Path in this deck. That's pretty good. Best 2 white drop removals. 2 white 1-drop removals, or white removal in general, basically, for Commander. 1 mana, being able to get rid of your opponent's creatures is really strong. Sir Conrad can take away games by himself. Now we're getting just some of the kind of the uncommon fluff that fills the deck. And then, okay, here are our basic lands. So many basics. And then our foil-etched thicker card. I know a lot of people who like to use these thicker foil-etched cards as their commander, and then use the commander card in the 99 of another deck, which I think is a great idea, because for the most part, you're never going to shuffle your commander into your deck or have it be somewhere else where you actually need that card in the deck. Alright, decent commander deck. I'm looking forward to seeing that one played and edited up. There's so much to add to the tribal portion of it. There's room to expand, whether you're going to humans or knights, just sticking with the knights. But last but not least, we're going to check out our collector booster sample pack. These have been, pretty hit and miss as far as, what value you can get. Because, again, you can get anything, whether it's a mythic rare foil or an uncommon foil. That's the joy of the collector sample. And for us, we're going to start off with, looks like a rare. We have Inga and Asika. Nice. I like that. And then we have Aedgir, the Freezing Flame, from the Multiverse Legends. I like that art style again. The fact that they do the showcase art from the different planes for the ones that are doing it's kind of the same thing here. They're both from Call Time. They both got that showcase. Although this one wasn't foil for her. I've hit some major hits in these. I'm curious to see what other hits you guys have had. If you have got anything great, let me know in the comments. Thanks for joining me, Planeswalkers. Always glad to have you here. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you here in the next video.